Somewhere beneath the deserts of northern New Mexico, according to one of the most disturbing conspiracy theories in American history, there may exist a hidden underground facility where military personnel and non-human entities once worked side by side. A place allegedly connected to disappearances, classified experiments, genetic manipulation, and violent encounters so terrifying that witnesses either vanished or never spoke again. Its name is Dulce Base. Officially, it does not exist. No government agency has admitted its construction. No verified map shows its location. No satellite image confirms its presence. And yet for decades, the story has refused to die. Because hidden beneath the mythology are strange details that continue disturbing researchers even today. Military activity, underground tunnels, restricted land, witness testimonies, and one violent incident that allegedly changed everything. If even a fraction of the claims surrounding Dulce Base are true, then the implications are horrifying. Section 1. The town of Dulce. To understand the mystery, you first have to understand the location. Dulce is a small town in northern New Mexico near the Colorado border. Quiet, remote, surrounded by mountains, forests, and vast empty land. At first glance, nothing about the area seems unusual. But according to conspiracy researchers, that isolation is exactly why the location was chosen, because secrecy requires distance. And few places in America feel more isolated than the land surrounding Dulce. The area sits near Archuleta Mesa, a massive flat-topped mountain formation that became central to the conspiracy. Locals reported strange lights for decades, unusual aircraft, deep underground rumbling, military helicopters flying over remote regions late at night. Some residents claimed parts of the surrounding land felt heavily monitored. Others described rumors passed quietly through the community for years. Stories about underground tunnels. Stories about hidden entrances inside the mesa. Stories nobody could ever fully prove. Then in the 1970s, the rumors became far darker. Section 2. The UFO connection. Long before Dulce Base became famous in conspiracy culture, northern New Mexico already had a deep connection to UFO mythology. Roswell happened in the same state. Military testing operations existed throughout the region during the Cold War. And sightings around remote desert areas were surprisingly common. Researchers studying the Dulce mystery noticed something strange. Witness reports around Archuleta Mesa often sounded similar. Bright lights hovering silently at night. Objects moving impossibly fast. Strange electromagnetic effects. In several cases, witnesses described glowing craft disappearing directly into the ground or mountain itself. That detail became critically important. Because if underground installations existed, the mountain could theoretically conceal them completely. And according to believers, that is exactly what happened. Section 3. The man who made Dulce famous. The Dulce Base theory exploded publicly because of one man, Paul Bennewitz, a businessman and UFO researcher from Albuquerque, New Mexico. During the late 1970s and early 1980s, Bennewitz became convinced he was intercepting strange electronic signals connected to UFO activity near Kirtland Air Force Base. He claimed the signals originated from non-human craft operating underground near Dulce. Bennewitz believed he had uncovered evidence of a massive secret operation involving extraterrestrials and the U.S. government. He became obsessed, photographing lights, recording transmissions, collecting data constantly. Eventually, intelligence agencies allegedly became aware of him. And according to later claims from individuals connected to the intelligence community, something deeply disturbing happened next. Rather than stopping Bennewitz, they may have manipulated him. Some researchers believe government operatives fed Bennewitz disinformation intentionally, encouraging his beliefs, amplifying the paranoia, pushing him deeper into the conspiracy. Why? One theory suggests intelligence agencies wanted to distract attention away from real classified military projects occurring in the region. Another theory is even darker, that Bennewitz got too close to something real and psychological manipulation became the easiest way to discredit him publicly. Regardless of the truth, Bennewitz's mental health deteriorated severely over time, and the Dulce Base legend spread across UFO communities worldwide. According to conspiracy theories, Dulce Base was not a normal military installation. It was allegedly a vast underground complex hidden beneath Archuleta Mesa. Some claims described multiple underground levels extending deep beneath the earth: laboratories, genetic research sectors, security zones, transportation tunnels, containment areas, and according to the most extreme stories, certain levels were supposedly restricted even to military personnel themselves. Witnesses described advanced technology unlike anything publicly known at the time: artificial intelligence systems, biometric security decades ahead of commercial technology, underground magnetic transportation systems. Some stories even claimed the base connected through tunnels to other secret facilities across the United States, including Area 51. Most researchers dismissed these claims entirely, but what made the story dangerous was not the technology. It was the purpose of the alleged facility, because according to believers, Dulce Base was not simply studying UFOs, it was studying biological entities. This is where the Dulce story becomes deeply disturbing. According to certain alleged whistleblowers, experiments inside the base involved both humans and non-human biological research, genetic manipulation, hybridization experiments, psychological testing. Some claims described underground laboratories containing human and animal specimens suspended inside tanks. Others alleged cooperation between military scientists and non-human intelligences. No verified evidence has ever confirmed these stories, but the descriptions became horrifyingly detailed over the years. Too detailed. That specificity helped the legend spread rapidly through conspiracy communities during the 1980s and 1990s. Books, radio shows, underground publications, Dulce Base transformed into one of the most infamous alleged government secrets in modern history. And then came the story that made the conspiracy truly terrifying: the alleged underground battle. Part 2. The Underground Battle. According to one of the most controversial stories ever connected to Dulce Base, something went terribly wrong beneath the mountain. An incident so violent that conspiracy researchers still refer to it simply as the Dulce War. Officially, no such event ever happened. No military report confirms it. No government document mentions it. No verified evidence proves it occurred. And yet, for decades the story continued spreading through intelligence rumors, UFO communities, and underground publications. Because according to believers, a deadly confrontation allegedly erupted between military personnel and non-human entities deep underground beneath Archuleta Mesa. And if true, it would completely change the Dulce story forever. The story became widely known because of a man named Phil Schneider. Schneider claimed he worked as a government engineer involved in constructing underground military facilities during the 1970s. In the 1990s, he began giving public lectures describing shocking events he claimed occurred while helping build tunnels beneath Dulce. According to Schneider, the operation accidentally broke into an underground area already occupied, not by another military unit, but by non-human beings. He claimed a violent firefight erupted underground. Advanced energy weapons were allegedly used. Military personnel were killed. And Schneider himself claimed he barely escaped alive. He later displayed injuries during public presentations, claiming they resulted from the encounter. The story sounded unbelievable, and critics immediately attacked it. Many researchers dismissed Schneider entirely. Others believed he genuinely believed his experiences. But what made the story spread rapidly was not just the claims themselves. It was Schneider's behavior. He spoke with absolute certainty, detailed certainty, the kind that made people uncomfortable. According to the conspiracy, Dulce Base allegedly contained multiple underground levels. Some versions claimed 7 levels. Others described even more. The deeper levels supposedly became increasingly restricted. According to believers, Level 1, Security and Transportation. Level 2, Human Research and Administration. Level 3, Advanced Technology Laboratories. Level 4, mind control and psychological experimentation. Level 5, genetic experimentation. Level 6, biological containment. And Level 7, the level connected to non-human entities. Again, none of this has ever been verified. But over time, the consistency of certain details across different stories disturbed even skeptical researchers, especially descriptions involving underground laboratories and biological experiments. One of the darkest parts of the Dulce conspiracy involves disappearances. Some conspiracy theorists claimed missing persons cases across the United States were secretly connected to underground experimentation programs. There is absolutely no verified evidence supporting this claim, but the theory spread aggressively through UFO communities during the 1980s and 1990s. Why? Because fear thrives in uncertainty, and Dulce Base became the perfect conspiracy structure. Remote location, government secrecy, underground tunnels, unverifiable witnesses. It created a story impossible to confirm completely, but impossible to erase entirely. Even today, reports of unusual activity around Archuleta Mesa continue appearing occasionally online. People describe strange lights, unmarked aircraft, military helicopters, electronic interference, and unexplained sounds underground. Most incidents likely have ordinary explanations, but conspiracy researchers argue the consistency matters, especially because parts of the surrounding land remain isolated and difficult to access. Satellite imagery reveals little, and the harsh terrain naturally limits investigation, which only fuels the mythology further, because secrecy grows strongest in places people cannot easily explore themselves. Section 10. The government connection. One reason the Dulce story survived for decades is because real government secrecy absolutely exists, especially regarding underground military infrastructure. During the Cold War, the United States constructed hardened underground facilities across the country. Missile silos, command bunkers, continuity of government shelters. Some remain classified even today. That reality created an important psychological effect. If secret underground bases already existed, then perhaps larger hidden facilities could exist too. Conspiracy researchers used that logic constantly. And once Area 51 became publicly acknowledged years later, after decades of denial, public skepticism toward government secrecy weakened dramatically. Because suddenly, conspiracy theorists had been proven partially correct about at least one hidden installation. That shift changed everything. People began asking, if Area 51 was real, what else might exist? Disinformation or truth. There's another possibility researchers continue debating today. What if the Dulce Base story itself was intentionally created or manipulated? Some investigators believe intelligence agencies may have encouraged bizarre UFO conspiracies during the Cold War to distract attention away from classified aerospace projects. From that perspective, stories about aliens and underground creatures become extremely useful. Because once witnesses sound unbelievable, real classified operations become easier to hide behind the noise. This theory gained credibility after later revelations showed intelligence agencies had absolutely conducted psychological operations and misinformation campaigns during the Cold War, meaning the government really did manipulate narratives sometimes, which creates a disturbing paradox. The more genuine government secrecy exists, the easier conspiracy theories become to believe, and the harder truth becomes to identify. Why the story never dies. Most conspiracy theories eventually disappear. Dulce didn't, because it taps directly into several deep human fears. Fear of hidden power, fear of underground places, fear of secret experimentation, fear that governments know more than they admit, and perhaps most powerfully, fear that humanity may not be fully in control. The story also evolved constantly. Each decade added new details, new witnesses, new theories, new connections to UFO sightings and government secrecy. And because no definitive evidence ever fully disproved the claims, the mystery remained alive. Some researchers believe that uncertainty is exactly why the legend survived. Not because people proved Dulce Base exists, but because nobody could completely prove it didn't. Today, mainstream historians and scientists reject the Dulce Base conspiracy entirely. No verified physical evidence confirms underground alien laboratories beneath New Mexico. No credible documentation proves non-human cooperation with the government. And many individuals connected to the story remain highly controversial. But after decades, one uncomfortable fact still remains. The story refuses to disappear. And sometimes, the most dangerous conspiracies are not the ones people believe completely, but the ones that remain just believable enough to survive forever. Part 3. What was really happening in New Mexico? By the late 1980s, the Dulce Base story had spread far beyond underground UFO communities. Radio programs discussed it openly. Books described massive underground laboratories. Witnesses claimed military cover-ups, and conspiracy researchers became convinced something enormous was hidden beneath New Mexico. But behind all the alien theories and terrifying rumors, another possibility began emerging. What if people around Dulce really were witnessing strange activity, just not the kind they imagined? Because during the Cold War, New Mexico became one of the most heavily militarized and scientifically secretive regions in the United States. And some researchers believe that reality may explain how the Dulce legend was born. New Mexico, the perfect location. Few places in America hold more military mystery than New Mexico. Los Alamos, White Sands, Kirtland Air Force Base, Sandia Laboratories. Some of the most classified scientific and military programs in U.S. history operated inside the state. Nuclear weapons development, experimental aircraft, electronic warfare systems, advanced surveillance technology. During the Cold War, secrecy became normal in the region. Entire operations existed without public knowledge for years, which meant local residents often saw strange things without explanation. Unusual aircraft, military convoys, restricted zones, experimental technology. And when governments refuse to explain what people are witnessing, the human mind naturally fills the gaps, sometimes with rumors, sometimes with fear, and sometimes with aliens. The cattle mutilation mystery. One disturbing phenomenon helped fuel the Dulce conspiracy even further: cattle mutilations. Across parts of New Mexico and nearby states, ranchers reported finding animals dead under bizarre circumstances. Missing organs, precise cuts, little visible blood. The incidents terrified local communities. Some blamed predators. Others suspected cult activity. But UFO researchers became convinced the events were connected to extraterrestrial experimentation, especially because several cases reportedly occurred near areas associated with UFO sightings. Government investigators examined some incidents, but never reached conclusions satisfying everyone. And uncertainty created the perfect environment for conspiracy theories to grow stronger. Because unexplained events rarely remain unexplained for long, people create explanations, even when none exist. The underground sound reports. For decades, some residents near Archuleta Mesa described hearing strange underground noises, low vibrations, deep rumbling, metallic sounds beneath the earth. Most likely explanations included natural geological activity or distant industrial operations. But conspiracy researchers interpreted the sounds differently. To them, the noises suggested underground construction, massive machinery operating below the mesa. And because underground military facilities genuinely existed elsewhere in America, the idea no longer sounded completely impossible to certain audiences, especially after stories about secret bunkers and black-budget programs became public knowledge years later. Area 51 changed everything. One reason Dulce Base became so influential is because of what happened with Area 51. For years, the US government denied its existence completely. People who discussed it publicly were mocked constantly. Then eventually, the government acknowledged the facility was real. Not aliens, not UFOs, but a genuine classified installation hidden for decades. That moment permanently changed public psychology, because suddenly, conspiracy culture gained credibility. People realized governments really could hide massive facilities successfully for years. And once that trust collapsed, stories like Dulce became much harder to dismiss automatically. Because now, there was precedent. Real secrecy, real classified operations, real hidden infrastructure. The Internet era. In the 1990s and early 2000s, the Internet transformed the Dulce Base story completely. Old rumors spread globally almost overnight. Websites collected witness testimony. Forums amplified theories. Digital artwork recreated alleged underground levels. And with every retelling, the legend evolved. Some versions became more extreme. Others tried sounding more scientific. But the core idea always remained the same. Something hidden existed beneath the desert, and governments didn't want the public near it. That concept proved incredibly powerful psychologically, because hidden underground places trigger ancient human fears naturally. Fear of what exists below us. Fear of confined spaces. Fear of unseen things moving beneath the surface. Dulce combined all of them together. Section 18. The psychology of Dulce Base. The deeper researchers analyzed the Dulce phenomenon, the clearer something became. Even people who didn't fully believe the story often found themselves fascinated by it. Why? Because Dulce Base represents more than a UFO conspiracy. It represents uncertainty itself. The fear that hidden systems operate beyond public understanding. The fear that truth is controlled by powerful institutions. And perhaps most importantly, the fear that ordinary people may never know what is truly happening behind classified walls. That emotional fear matters more than evidence sometimes. Because stories survive through emotion, not logic. And Dulce Base triggers emotion extremely effectively. Section 19. The witness problem. One major issue continues haunting the Dulce mystery. Reliable evidence remains absent. Most claims rely on second-hand testimony, unverifiable documents, or controversial witnesses. No confirmed photographs of underground alien laboratories exist. No verified government whistleblower has proven the story publicly. And yet, the mystery continues surviving anyway. Because even without proof, the conspiracy built something powerful: doubt. And once doubt enters public consciousness, it rarely disappears completely. Especially when governments already possess histories of secrecy and misinformation. Today, many researchers believe Dulce Base represents a mixture of several things at once: Cold War paranoia, real military secrecy, psychological manipulation, UFO mythology, and human imagination feeding on uncertainty. But others remain convinced something deeper still hides beneath the surface. Something unexplained, something dangerous. And according to believers, the truth may still remain buried somewhere beneath the deserts of New Mexico. Waiting. Part 4. The position no one can prove. After decades of rumors, thousands of pages of theories, and countless witness testimonies, one question still remains. What if there was never a single secret hidden beneath Dulce? What if the real mystery was something far more complicated? Because when investigators step back from the alien stories, underground battles, and conspiracy mythology, they encounter something deeply unsettling. A pattern. A pattern of secrecy, confusion, fear, and unanswered questions surrounding military activity, UFO encounters, and classified operations across the American Southwest for generations. And that pattern may explain why the Dulce Base story continues surviving even today. The UFO disclosure era. For decades, UFO reports were treated publicly as fantasy. Then governments slowly changed their tone. Military footage was released. Pilots spoke openly. Radar encounters became public discussion. Authorities no longer denied unidentified aerial phenomena existed. Instead, they changed the language. UFOs became UAPs, unknown objects, unexplained encounters, national security concerns. That shift mattered. Because once governments admitted some aerial phenomena genuinely remained unexplained, older conspiracy theories suddenly felt less impossible to certain audiences. And stories like Dulce Base returned again, not as proven truth, but as unresolved possibility. The fear of hidden knowledge. One reason Dulce Base remains powerful psychologically is because it reflects a fear deeply rooted in modern society. The fear that ordinary people are excluded from reality itself. Classified programs exist. Black budgets exist. Secret military projects exist. Most people accept that. But Dulce pushes the idea further. It suggests hidden knowledge may exist on a scale the public cannot even imagine. And whether true or false, that possibility is emotionally terrifying. Because if governments truly possessed evidence of non-human intelligence, would they reveal it immediately? Or would they hide it? History suggests governments rarely release dangerous information voluntarily, especially during periods of fear or instability. That uncertainty keeps the conspiracy alive. The problem with absolute denial. Another reason the Dulce story survived is surprisingly simple. Absolute denial rarely works forever. History contains countless examples of governments denying programs that later proved real. Surveillance operations, psychological experiments, secret military technology. When those programs eventually became public, trust weakened. And once public trust weakens, conspiracy theories grow stronger automatically. Because people begin questioning everything, even stories lacking evidence. Dulce Base exists inside that psychological space perfectly. A place where secrecy and uncertainty overlap. Section 23. The possibility of something real. Most likely, the majority of Dulce Base claims are exaggerations, myths, or misunderstandings. No verified evidence proves underground alien laboratories beneath New Mexico. No confirmed documents reveal human-alien cooperation. No physical proof confirms the terrifying stories described by conspiracy researchers. But there is still one possibility that continues disturbing investigators. What if witnesses around Dulce really were observing classified activity? Just not extraterrestrial activity. Experimental aircraft, advanced surveillance systems, underground military infrastructure, electronic warfare technology. Real classified programs could easily create confusion among civilians living nearby. And once UFO mythology became attached to the region, every strange light and unexplained sound gained new meaning. That explanation may sound more reasonable, but it still leads to an uncomfortable conclusion. People may have witnessed genuine secrecy, just not the secrecy they imagined. Section 24. Why humans need mysteries. The Dulce Base story also reveals something important about human psychology. People are drawn toward mysteries that never fully resolve, especially mysteries involving hidden places. Underground tunnels, secret laboratories, restricted zones. These concepts trigger ancient instincts connected to fear of the unknown. And when combined with modern distrust of institutions, the result becomes incredibly powerful. a story capable of surviving decades without proof. Because the human mind dislikes uncertainty, it wants answers. Even impossible answers sometimes feel more comforting than admitting we simply don't know. Section 25. The final question. Today, Dulce Base exists somewhere between conspiracy theory and modern mythology. A story impossible to confirm completely, but impossible to erase entirely. For believers, the underground facility remains real. For skeptics, the story represents Cold War paranoia amplified through decades of misinformation and fear. And for everyone else, Dulce remains a disturbing symbol of uncertainty itself. Because maybe the most frightening possibility isn't hidden aliens beneath New Mexico. Maybe it's the realization that secrecy, misinformation, and distrust have become so deeply connected that truth itself becomes almost impossible to identify. No verified evidence proves Dulce Base exists. No confirmed documents reveal underground alien laboratories. And no official investigation has ever validated the terrifying stories surrounding Archuleta Mesa, at least publicly. But after decades of rumors, military secrecy, witness testimonies, and unanswered questions, the legend still survives. Hidden beneath the deserts of New Mexico, between truth and fiction, between paranoia and possibility, Dulce Base remains one of the most disturbing mysteries America never fully explained. And perhaps that is why the story never disappears. Because somewhere deep down, people still wonder what might really exist below the surface.